In 1556, the Mughal foothold in India was barely a foothold at all. Following the sudden death of Emperor Humayun, the empire's borders were collapsing inward, leaving a chaotic power vacuum. Stepping into that vacuum was Humayun's son, Akbar. He inherited this fracturing, highly unstable kingdom when he was exactly 13 years old. At an age when most are just beginning their education, Akbar moved in a different direction. He had little interest in reading or writing, choosing instead to master swordsmanship, mastering horseback riding, and the physical mechanics of warfare. And he needed those physical skills immediately. A powerful rival leader named Hemu was marching his forces toward Delhi, fully intending to wipe the fragile Mughal presence off the map entirely. So how exactly does an uneducated teenage warrior defeat seasoned armies and build one of the most resilient, unified empires in world history? To survive his first major test, Akbar relied on his father's veteran commander, Bayram Khan, using the general's experience to secure a victory against Hemu at the Second Battle of Panipat. But Akbar did not remain a subordinate for long. As he reached adulthood, he respectfully dismissed Bayram Khan from service and took absolute command of the throne for himself. This map tracks the results. Akbar launched a series of aggressive campaigns, pushing the Mughal borders into Rajasthan, across to Gujarat, east to Bengal, and all the way north to Kabul. He commanded from the front lines, earning a reputation as a skilled warrior leading an increasingly massive and disciplined military force. Through military might, Akbar secured the edges of his domain. However, a sword can conquer a territory, but it is insufficient for actually governing the millions of diverse people living inside it. The sheer speed of these conquests created a logistical problem. Akbar had to figure out how to manage these new lands and extract resources without triggering the cycles of rebellion that typically followed an invasion. This chart breaks down his solution, the Mansab-Dari system. It was an administrative framework that assigned a numerical rank to every commander, clearly defining exactly how many cavalry troops they were required to maintain for the state. Because the system was modular, it allowed the empire to scale its military and administrative reach without the enormous expense of maintaining one centralized standing army. To fund this structure, his minister, Todar Mal, standardized land measurements and calculated taxes based on 10-year averages of actual crop yields. This ensured that the tax burden was predictable and fair, so that peasant farmers were not crushed by the financial demands of the expanding empire. By establishing these consistent administrative rules, Akbar addressed the core financial grievances that often fueled local unrest, allowing conquered territories to become the empire's productive economic foundation. Akbar's most effective strategy for unity wasn't found in a ledger or a barracks. He focused on the religious and cultural divisions that had long fractured his diverse land. His first major move was lifting the jizya, a tax previously imposed on non-Muslims. Removing this financial burden immediately improved his standing with India's Hindu majority. He went further by integrating his former battlefield enemies into the government, appointing Rajput kings to some of the highest administrative posts in his court. This created a diverse meritocracy known as the Nine Gems. This inner circle of scholars and artists included figures like the advisor Birbal and the musician Tansen, who were chosen for their skill rather than their background. To project this unified power, he built a new capital at Fatehpur Sikri, crowned by the soaring Buland Darwaza. He even introduced a philosophical path called Din-e-Ilahi, which sought to emphasize universal brotherhood across different faiths. These policies of cultural inclusion and religious freedom served as the essential strategic glue that held the entire Mughal machine together. When Akbar's life ended in 1605 in Agra, he transferred power to his son, Jahangir. The empire Jahangir inherited was unrecognizable from the fragile kingdom Akbar was handed at 13. India was now a wealthy, stable, and unified superpower. History remembers him as Akbar the Great. He earned that title by outgrowing the sword, mastering instead the complex mechanics of administration. The true strength of an empire is rarely found on the battlefield. It is measured by its capacity for fairness, its inclusion of diverse peoples, and the resilient architecture of the society it leaves behind.